says setting up your webinar for YouTube Live. Done. Okay, I guess we're live. So welcome everybody to the 2019 September 23rd Node.js N-API meeting. Before we get started, would anybody like to announce anything during this meeting?
Nothing.
Yeah,
All right.
nothing. Nicola has showed up. If you'd like to promote him.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Can do. Let's see. Chat? No, not chat. Wait, how does that work again? Oh, yeah, no, it's already open. Right here, participants, Nicola. More, promote to panelists. Okay, there we go. No, there we go. Hey, Nicola, welcome. All right, so Nicola, do you have any announcements?
No, for today, no.
Okay, so let's see here. Let me share my screen. Share. What in the blazes is this? Desktop one, I guess. Share screen. Okay, so you should all see my screen now.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we go, I think we go here. And I think I'm gonna go close my window because this is an unwelcome background noise. There we go. So let's go through the agenda as we always do. First thing, building add-ons with CMake. Do we have any news on this item?
Yes, so I've been working on that this week. I have put out a sample, and I can post the PR onto the chat link if you guys want to take a quick look at it. Nicola has reviewed it. It's one of our examples showing how to build a Node add-on with CMake.js.
Oh, so this goes into Node add-on examples?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
So if I can get that PR to land, Nicola's reviewed it. If that's sufficient to land that PR, then I will put links to it on this issue and the other one related to CMake.
Okay, sounds good.
So can I land that with just a review from Nicola?
Yeah, if it's been there for a week, then absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Then
So,
I will do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Later, I completed the review.
Yes.
And yeah, I accept
Okay, that's great.
PR.
Thank you for your review, Nicola.
No.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, this example will show you how to build using CMake. So there is no binding JIP or anything, right? Now, in terms of making an NPM package, does it cover that? Like, you know, because you have like NPM publish and an NPM pack and those things. How does it relate to those?
It builds the binding. Well, my example does not show how to publish the NPM module. So
okay,
it does show how to build it, but I think publishing it would be relatively straightforward.
Okay, so just so I understand, so in response to NPM install, this will launch CMake, correct?
It will launch CMake to build the binary. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think then that actually covers publishing as well, because I believe that NPM doesn't do much aside from building a tarball. When you say NPM publish, it just runs NPM pack,
Correct.
which builds the tarball and then just uploads it with your credentials, and that's
Correct.
it.
Now, in my comments on these two issues, I am also going to mention that pre-build now supports CMake. And so if you wish to publish binaries so that your users do not need to compile, then pre-build is a natural extension to CMake in order to make that happen.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
it takes almost no extra configuration if you're using GitHub for your repository. So it will build the binaries and publish them to GitHub.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
super awesome.
I'll mention that also in the comments that I leave. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
that's
PR.
the one actually. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Let's just open
Yeah.
it briefly since we're on the topic. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll have a look at it as well, and anybody
Okay.
else who would like to.
Sure.
All right. So then, let's see. Next one. What should go into N-API 5? So I've updated the list there a little bit. Basically, Node version 8 is off the table. N-API 5 will not be Node version 8 because there won't be any more minor versions released. So it remains as it is. Version 10, I believe all the major things have landed. So like the actual NAPI work with the finalizer, the date object, and the optional thread safe function callback, they have landed. So now only the meta stuff has to land. The PR which marks these things as stable has to land, and then the PR that updates the matrix to show the first version of 10 in which NAPI 5 is available, that has to land. On version 12, everything is good. This still needs to land. I haven't checked. I shouldn't need to create the backport PR for this because it's a clean cherry pick from masters. At least it was when I last checked. So I'll keep checking, and if it needs a backport, I'll backport. But this should be good. So yeah, we should be there with NAPI 5 pretty soon, hopefully, depending on the release team. So, okay, let's see. No, what? Let's go back. There we go. Okay, so the async worker variants. Where are we with that? Kevin, I believe you were working on that.
No, I think that is a legend cast.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I don't know him. I recognize only the handler.
You recognize? I'm sorry.
Only the GitHub handler.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we have the PR that
Michael just joined. If you would like to promote
yeah, absolutely. Yes, thank you. That's
Oh.
right. Oh wait. Oh,
he just left. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. Actually, I should probably leave this on top so I can see it. Hello. Can I make this smaller? Yes, I can. I think. There we go. Good. Okay, so all right, so we have async progress worker, and yes, this one needs reviewing. Yeah. Okay. So I haven't gotten around to it. Sorry. But that's where we're at, I guess, with the async worker variants. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so the workshop, I think we're pretty much all set, right? And the participants or the formally listed organizers are now you and Nicola, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, good. So we're pretty much on rails for Montreal.
And I'm continuing to work on the tutorials.
Okay, great. Okay. All right. So in terms of this issue, nothing on my part, at least, nothing directly to report other than I sort of compiled a list of NAPI modules again, just because I was working on a little bit on that PR that seeks to turn all the outstanding reference callbacks into environment cleanup hooks. I was able to come up with a really simple way of doing it. So basically, just take all the references and stick them in a linked list, and then when the NAPI env gets destroyed, just walk the list and just call them all. So it's very, very cheap do that, and it works really well. But of course, Anna wanted me to test thoroughly as if it were a SitGem run. And so what I did, where's that comment? Oh, this one. So then basically I just went through all the packages in SitGem and some of the reverse dependencies of Node.js N-API. And basically I took the ones which had really lots of downloads and just made sure that it works against the PR. So the side effect of that is now we now have a nice dense list of all the most popular N-API packages. And it worked well. The only one that had some issues was level down. And this is actually one of those things where I'm not sure, we'd have to discuss how much of an impact this is, right? So basically with the change or without the change, level down, if you run it in a worker thread, or if you run it in like Electron, then or if you run it in a certain way in Electron, like if you run it in like multiple copies, one after the other in sequence, then if you quit it without closing the database, so far it would cause a memory leak, because the database handle and the query handles would remain open. But otherwise it would exit successfully, right? Whereas with this change, it would cause an assertion to fail, and therefore the process would abort, because one of the destructors which happens, which gets called during normal course of operations as well, but which gets called out of sequence during teardown, it has an assertion written into it that says, you know, if the query is still open, then fail, like just abort the process, because the query is supposed to be closed before you delete the query handle. So I documented this here, and we'll see what people think about that, whether that's a big enough change to be considered breaking, or whether we can deal with that, because it only happens if people don't close their databases properly, right? So it's already sort of an error condition. This just makes it from a silent sort of leaky situation into a full-on abort. So I documented this here, and as a result, we have a nice list of N-API modules. And I found a couple which we probably should start looking into porting if you ever get the cycles for it, like where is it? Right here, like zero MQ. I think we sort of looked at that, and libxml.js. Those are two that could use some porting. And of course, Node SAS. That seems like a big one, but all in good time, I guess. So that's what I have on there. I don't know. Has anybody worked on any other modules which should be mentioned here?
Nothing here.
Okay. All right. So then let's close this one. Did I just? No, I didn't. Good. Okay. Create matrix of tested methods. Nicola, I believe you were working on that whenever you got a chance.
It's not ended. So I continue work this week, and I think that for the next meeting we have so many test case for Node.js N-API because I'm working on a Go wrapper, and when I create some feature on this wrapper, I create the test on Node.js N-API just to compare the future. So it's an exercise for me, essentially.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, and my proposal is to end for the end of the month, or of this month. Sorry. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So when I will add other tests, and about just for curiosity, I'm using the for the Go wrapper and for the low level wrapper. I'm using the tests that are on the Node core. So the JavaScript part is the same.
Right.
I just replicated the native side.
Oh,
So,
written in Go.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's
Yes, and the example, the same for the examples.
yep.
So these could be a use case for others that want to do the same thing with maybe other languages, other programming languages.
Yep. Yep. That's the good way to go. Yeah, you just start basically copying the tests over, and when they all pass, you know you have a good implementation. That's
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's good approach. Okay. Yeah, and yes, well, one of the one of the side effects is that you get to test the whole thing. So yeah, that's good.
So
Okay.
what I say is that that the JavaScript part is always the same. I
Yes.
don't know if it's always the same if you create an API in other run in
Yes.
on
Yes.
Node.js, but
It is. It is. It is. It is. It's very important that the JavaScript be the same, right? Because
yeah,
otherwise, it's not the same test, really. You know.
yes,
So I know, for example, with JavaScript, what I did at some point was I had to basically sort of prefix uh, the whole test with things that would define like console.log and stuff like that, because and process and these kinds of things, because the tests themselves, they concentrate on language features, right? But
mm,
we do use Node.js infrastructure, like require / common, you know, that doesn't exist that didn't exist in JavaScript, right? So
yeah,
so basically the way I did it in JavaScript is I said, okay, so run this little chunk of JavaScript, which basically sets up all the Node.js stuff, like really, really rudimentary, basic Node.js interfaces, then run the test unchanged, you know, and using the implementation that I'd written. So yeah, it's very important that the test remain unchanged. Otherwise, you're not testing an API, you're testing whatever, right? And as you're
yeah,
developing it, the way I did it was I basically commented out the entire test, and then I commented back in, or rather I let a little bit of JavaScript back in and made sure that works, and then I let a little bit of JavaScript back in, and then I made sure that works, and so forth, until I was able to leave the whole test in place unchanged. So I'm sure that's what you're doing as well, as you're working your way through the tests. But absolutely, going your way through the tests is the definitive way of checking an implementation. So that's very cool.
okay.
Okay, so that's for this issue. Now, SQLite port. How are we doing on that?
I'm still working on that, Gabriel. I'm working through the Mocha tests that are failing. So
Okay.
it's just taking time.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. All right. Thank you. And let's see. Okay, Node repo. I looked at that briefly. How shall we look at that? There. So, oh, wait a minute. These are PRs as well as issues. Okay, so this covers some of the backporting stuff, but let me just go with is issue for now. So okay, so we have this memory leak here. We've pretty much eliminated an API as the cause for it. In fact, I just offline to satisfy my own curiosity, I wrote a V8 add-on that would basically just create functions like crazy, and yes, it exhibited the same problem. So definitely an API not involved in that. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that one out in V8.
Okay.
These need, I think we have a PR for some of this. I think for this one we have a PR, if I'm not mistaken. So this is N-API version 6 basically starting to take shape. This one here, did we not have? Yes, we did. So let's see. Yeah, okay, so this one needs reviewing. Oh, I see. I will push fixed changes later, and fixed changes were pushed. Okay, so all right, this is kind of a to-do item then to have a look at this. It should be pretty straightforward. And I don't think it's controversial because pretty much every engine has this. So just needs looking at. Right, so that would be this one, I think. Okay, this one, yeah, this is an older one. Yeah, I think it has a proof of concept PR, I believe. I remember there being a proof of concept. Oh yeah, Timothy said he'd want to look at it, and I think I should ping him probably. Why don't I ping him now? Has he answered? No. He said he wanted to have a look at it before we did anything. So where was that? Dang, where'd he go? Well, anywho, yeah, I guess I'll try and follow up with this guy. So then what else do we have? Yes, this is an old request. And I think this one is gone. Need to have a look at that over the course of the week. But I don't know. I think these are pretty much the big ones. Right? I don't think I've missed one. So let's see the other repo. That would be the next issue. So that this is the core. And then we have, oh, did I just close this one? No, I didn't. Go ahead.
I have two paragraphs on abyssable node. Maybe if someone could take a look. It's just documentation change.
Okay.
So I removed the Hangout link because it's not it does not work anymore. And yeah, and I added the badge for N-API version 5.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
So,
One minor comment.
okay, so it's a good.
There you go. But other than that, it's good, I think. And the other PR is the badge. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think on master we have an API 5, so this is definitely relevant. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, usually when we have the N-API 5 on master, so I take care to update this.
Yep, looks good. Okay, so there's this guy. All right, so I think we're good on that. And
we can switch to Node.js API.
Yes, yes, might as well do that. So Okay. Ooh, I don't know about this one. This needs support from core, I think, this neutering. All right, crossword. Oh, this is a new one. I just saw that one today. Okay. Right. We may need to add this back in. Huh.
Mm.
Yep. That's what it looks like. Okay. Yeah, it would be bad to. I think it would be bad to roll this back entirely. I think we just need to put the experimental back, because everything else in here is okay. Just the removal of the experimental, I think, is the issue. So that would be something to PR. Okay. Oh yeah, this one.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a combinatorial explosion, eh?
Yeah.
Yes. It's getting out of hand. And actually, I posted a new comment at the bottom here that I came across. There's an ambiguity in one of the new constructors between having the finalizer and a finalizer data versus a context and a finalizer. So the only way that I was able to solve it, if you scroll down just a little more, is by explicitly having an STD function like so.
Okay. Oh, right, because otherwise they're both pointers, right?
Correct. Yeah, they're both pointers.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how we should go about solving this. And then also the optional function callback. It seems like there's a lot going on with new now.
Yeah. I mean, the core creator function, like N-API create thread safe function, has so many parameters that you just can't address every possible combination. You know.
Yeah.
It's starting to get to that point, I suspect, with this new degree of freedom that we added with the optional callback, that just sort of pushes it past the point that you can just cover every conceivable scenario. So I don't know, is the I guess all the factory functions, they end up calling the constructor in different ways, right?
Right.
So would it be possible to just add a constructor that leaves nothing out and just doesn't have any optional values for anything?
We do have a constructor where everything is present. And then
Okay.
in some ways, the other new constructors call that one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So then, I mean, it worked so far, right? So then I guess people will not have the convenience if they want to use the optional callback of leaving stuff out. You know?
Right. But I feel like it would be possible just to pass an empty function, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like an empty N-API value?
Yeah. So if you scroll to the top, in the suggestion or in the issue, he made a suggestion of at the very top, like that, where you pass an empty function. You know, it has no environment and no value, and then therefore going to the underlying N-API create thread safe function as a null callback.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, you mean like a null N-API value?
Yes.
Right. Yeah,
so I think this would probably, so it's functional, and it allows people to use the feature of the optional callback without us having to
Yes.
continue to go through this nightmare of adding all of these constructors.
Yeah. I think that's eminently reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah. So the only thing we got to make sure is that we don't reject. Like if the value is empty, then obviously don't reject. That's all.
Right.
That would be the only
We'll make
change
sure
we
of
need
that.
to make.
So there's that, and then I guess I'll have to figure out something with that ambiguous call that I added to this bottom here at the bottom of the issue.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I'll just have to do some Googling or something, because I think it
Oh, I
seems
see.
odd to have to construct an STD function to pass. You should just be able to pass, the function pointer.
Yeah, for sure. It should be able to infer the data type.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, if there's an ambiguity, then it can't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So I'll look into that then.
All right. Okay. Sounds good.
So then there's that, and then the copy constructor.
Yes.
So I created a PR for this now. But the way that we had discussed in the previous meetings was that instead of using a unique pointer to the N-API thread safe function, we would just have a regular pointer to the N-API thread safe function. But the question that I had, because you brought up the fact that itself, the underlying N-API thread safe function is a pointer itself, sort of, or it behaves as a pointer. So then I was in this implementation, I have the add-on API thread safe function. It just has a concrete instance of a N-API thread safe function. And that way, when you're constructing a new one or you're copying, we just copy over the underlying N-API thread safe function, which should be fine if it's just behaving as a pointer, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So the core N-API thread safe function data type is exactly that. It's a pointer, and it is basically allocated during N-API create thread safe function, and it is destroyed after the finalizer for that thread safe function returns. That is the life cycle of it. Therefore, whoever uses it need not free anything.
Right. So then that's the implementation that I did. And then I made 3 different tests. One where you are creating the threads passing the thread safe function. One when you're creating the threads passing a promise for the thread safe function, and then it eventually gets set and resolves. So that was addressing your recommendation of a test where the value is set after the thread is created.
Yeah.
And then a third test that uses acquire and release.
Okay. Yeah. So during the test where the thread safe function enters the thread after the thread is already created, in that test, you create it with an initial thread count of 1, and then you pass it into the thread, and the thread increases the thread count before it starts using it, correct?
That is in a different test case. It's not in that one. If you scroll down a little bit, so I have entry delayed TFSN, which is sort of a future, but it doesn't call acquire. The one on line 99, that one there, it gets a copy of the thread safe function at construction, then calls acquire there. Right. And I feel like that covers the use cases.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that there is a possible race condition that should be avoided by the semantics of it. So, like, let's say if you have a really long running thread, and you create the thread safe function. It has a thread count of 1 because obviously you need to do it. You pass it to the thread, and then you release it because, well, you don't need it anymore. The threads will take care of things, right? If you release it before the thread has had a chance to acquire it, then
Yes.
the thread
So,
will have a problem.
Right. So that was one of the things that was brought up by that, I don't remember his name, that Legolas handle or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm asking if the copy should perform an acquire. And I don't really think so. As a wrapper, it shouldn't do that. And like in your scenario, you could work around it by instead of having the counter at 1, have it at 2.
Yeah. You could do it that way.
Release it once inside the thread that's starting already. That when it starts.
You're right. Because after all, when the main thread creates the thread safe function, it knows exactly the number of threads which are currently in operation, which should be getting it. So
Right.
so awareness as to which thread is going to use the thread safe function should exist, and therefore the counter should always be set correctly.
Right. And so it's either that maybe you start it at 1 and then you give something back to Node that allows you to decrement it after you've finished everything.
Yeah.
Or when you create your threads at startup time, you already know that the total number, so you just start it at that number.
Yep.
And then those are the two use cases that I have. But then in like one of the tests, it's just that the thread safe is copied after the thread is created.
Right. The only question that remains, and I don't know if we can answer this question right now, is the usage pattern that's going to emerge because of the semantics that we just discussed may be such that it would be addressed by an automatic acquire and automatic release. It may be,
Mm-hmm.
So if you send like 5 copies to 5 threads, then you have to start it with 6 and then release, right? So if you say,
not necessarily. Like if you know that it's 5 threads, you can just start it with 5.
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you would do that anyway, right? You
Right.
would start it with 6, 1 for you, 1 for each thread, give it to the threads, and then release, right?
Right.
But you could accomplish the same thing just by copying it. If the copy were to have the automatic acquire, you would achieve the same thing, right? But the question that I don't think we can answer right now is that always the case? Or is there ever a reason why you would want there to be a temporary discrepancy between the number of copies and the number of declared acquired threads?
Right.
If there is,
I feel like it's you're adding a restriction then that if you copy, you must acquire. Like, what if I just want to have or just copies of the thread safe function just to have copies somewhere? Like, what if there's a programmatic error and the programmer accidentally creates a copy without knowing?
I'll give you an example. What if you want to use it as a key in a hash table? Right?
Okay.
You're copying it not for the reason of passing it to a thread. You're copying it just so it can serve as a key in a hash table. It has nothing to do with the number of threads.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, and therefore there's no reason why it would auto acquire. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
totally.
I feel like there's ways that the developer can cognizantly design the code to get around anything like that.
And I'm fairly certain that it would be super easy to subclass this with auto acquire if that's all you ever need, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, because
and then go ahead, do your auto acquire. We're not stopping you, right? So,
exactly, yeah. Okay.
all right, sounds good.
Right. So now for this, I want to do a little bit of cleanup because right now I was using a Lambda to get over the ambiguity of the STD function. I just now found that solution. So I'll clean this up and then I'll repush that. And it should be good to go then.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, let's see here. That was this guy, and this was, no, this was ABI stable. Where were the, nope, close it again. All right. Okay, yeah, so that was that. Clang format. Oh, that's not a bad addition. Holy cow. Okay, 30K lines. Yikes. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen as a result. It would just be like a tear in the master at that point. But I don't know, maybe if we did it step by step, just small changes. I don't know if we could do that, but that's an issue that's been raised, I guess. Okay, neutering array buffer. Hey, didn't I say opening link in new tab? So this is a request for this. Attach an array buffer. Okay, so this might be something for core then, if the ES spec mentions that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should open an issue in core for this thing. Why don't we do that? This is not that kind of an issue. Let's see if somebody jumps on the PR for this. Okay, so there's this one. So cute creator. Oy vey. I'm reluctant to look into this one because it seems like a whole world unto itself. Whew. Oh, okay. Ha. Jim, look familiar? Okay, well, seems like an in progress thing.
Yeah.
Okay. This was, Kevin, please remind me.
That was the copy constructor.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. Okay. All right. So we're working on that. No need to
Yep.
open the issue. Okay. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one is sort of on its way out. We should not update that anymore. We need to decide at which point we drop that. And if I'm not mistaken, we could.
We can drop the folder in January, I think, because load date will go out of the
Is it January or April? I think April is when we finally completely and utterly drop a version. Is it not? I think it's
Okay,
I think from correct me if I'm wrong, from October till April, it is in absolute strictest maintenance mode, and then after April, it does not exist as far as we're concerned. But I'd have to double check. Either way, okay, yes, yes, thank you for reminding me. So basically, when Node 8 is completely out of service and completely unsupported, then we can drop it. Okay, all right. And I think it's probably marked here. Okay. Holy cow, we have quite a few. I don't know if we can go over these in the time remaining. Do you guys have any issues that you would like to point out that have some weight more than others in the list? Because I don't think we can go over the whole list. If you,
I'm not sure how relevant anymore they are.
yeah,
Actually.
like this one, for example. This one is basically this one here. Okay, so let's see, 509 and 463. We should bundle these because we can close both of these in April. Why don't I just
It might be beneficial to probably someday go through all of the issues to see which ones are still
good point
relevant, because they're kind of just blowing up now before it gets out of hand.
Yeah. Let's see what the original concern is. I was wait, why am I looking at 509? Yes, okay.
It's basically the same thing.
Yes, yes, it is.
Where there's confusion about how to get the right header files.
Yep.
Yeah, because if you use Node.js, it will the include will automatically print it, no? Using the include dears in binding zip. But if you use maybe CMake, it's not so obvious. And C++ developer go in a SRC folder to include. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So so this links the two issues, and it mentions that they need to be closed when we remove. This was an interesting one. Cannot get callbacks to trigger immediately. Well, yeah, it's asynchronous. This is core API. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
you answered. It was
yeah
on Electron.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe we should just ask if there's an issue, and if so, then please reopen, because this has been here for a while. Might as well do a little bit of cleanup.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you can close, and if he need other apps, he can reopen.
Oakley dokley. Promise deferred.
I have one that it's near the top. I think it's talking about closure.
Oh yeah,
508.
this one.
Yes. Because I understand what he wants to do, but I just don't know how to accomplish it in N-API.
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about decorators to know
So
what this is.
so basically, he wants to be able, if you scroll down to the C++ code, he wants to be able to access other variables that are like, I guess, no longer in scope. So he can hold them through references, but I feel like, how do you know to unreference it?
My immediate gut reaction is use a weak reference, but it's probably not that simple.
Okay, because it's like, so basically he's returning a function where it has scoped some different values.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he won't. Okay, he won't return
Right.
function, and but this function is will be garbage collected because
Oh, yeah.
because yeah, when it, the decorator returns, the function that return is not available. Is it right?
Depends
So for
on.
example, he wants, so backup there is a function, right? And now he wants to be able to, where that comment is, I want to access backup. So say that he wants to make a call on that function, you know, but
Oh, okay. Now, wait a
yeah.
second. This seems fairly simple here. So basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically the crux of the matter is here, right? The first parameter gets stored in a variable which is accessed from here, and that's perfectly fine normally. However, this simply needs to be a persistent reference rather than just a regular N-API value. I think that's it.
But then how do you know when to unreference it?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So yeah.
Because it
Well,
should just be kind of unreferenced when the underlying object is garbage collected.
yes. Yeah. You could. Well,
But
I
I don't
mean,
know how to.
well, look. Let's consider this, right? If and when this function is garbage collected, right?
Mm-hmm.
This reference will not be needed anymore because it will never be used here ever again, right?
Correct.
So then you can tie the life cycle to this, right? So you can add a weak reference to this, store this, instead of doing info as object, do new N-API persistent here, and then add a weak reference to this guy to the result of this call that will free that.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense.
I think that's the way to go.
I'll take a look at that then.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, yeah. So, but I mean, I don't think this requires any change on our part other than to explain to the poster how to perform
Yeah,
it.
I think it's just an explanation,
little
and I
jingle.
didn't know how to do it myself. So, all right, sounds good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. All right, I think we're getting there. Maybe one more issue. Where'd I put that? Okay. Any others that come to mind? Because there sure are a few. Okay, we've handled this one. This is probably a similar one, just from the way it sounds. One where persistent references come into play. Where is my callback? Oh.
Hmm.
Yes. Okay. Okay, well, there's been some discussion here. Okay, I don't think I can read up on all of it now, but all right. We're kind of running out of time, so there are more issues than there is time, so we're gonna have to take some of these offline. All right, I think we can call it, right? Any other matters that we can discuss in the remaining time?
I think that's it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody for
All
joining
right.
us,
All right.
and talk to you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Okay, bye.